Okay, so I'd first like to begin with an audience poll. The question I have is, when you were younger, did you look more like your father or your mother? So if you look more like your father, please raise your hand. Thank you. Now if you look more like your mother, please raise your hand. Thank you. Now in my case, I look like neither. My story does not begin with family videos or photographs about the big day at the hospital. My story begins with orphanage records. They say they found me in front of a retired military home at the age of 1 month old. I was then brought into an orphanage where they gave me a name and a birthday. These were the building blocks to my identity. Within the first few months, I was brought into a foster family. I had a foster mom, a foster dad, and even a foster brother. So I guess life was okay. But then one day, these strange people came and took me away from everything I knew. These were my new parents, and we were now a forever family. We got on a plane and left China and went to the US. I began singing songs in my mother's lap in Cantonese, but then soon adapted and started singing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I was changing my ethnic identity from Chinese to American. I got to visit Disneyland, spend Christmas with Santa Claus, and even collect candy on Halloween. We were the stereotypical family: 2 parents, 2 kids, and a dog. However, I knew that society viewed my family as very strange. This is because we would always get the look. You can easily tell this as people look from mom to dad to me, from mom to dad to me. And you can read their minds, like, why doesn't she look like them? Or, how can this be? And because of these reactions, I never wanted my parents to come to school for any sports events, and especially parent-teacher conferences. They would ask questions like, do you want to find your real parents? This is always such a strange question to me, because the people who I live with at home are very real indeed. They're not fake. But it also reminded me that I have a missing piece in my history. Who are my biological parents? Some days I am very angry and I don't even want to think about my situation. But other days I just want to know the real story. Although these questions make me uncomfortable, being uncomfortable is not a bad thing. Uncomfortable situations make us resilient. And how we react to this awkwardness or uncomfortable situations shape who we are. And how I react to these questions shape who I am. Growing up in America, I considered myself as Chinese. However, in elementary school, I knew that I looked very different from many of the students who were also there. They would come up to me and ask me questions like, where are you from? And I would tell them, I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. And they would ask me again, no really, where are you from? And I would tell them, no really, I am from Scottsdale, Arizona. In fact, my house is just 5 blocks away from the school. Even at this young age, I knew that the problem was that my racial and my cultural identity did not match. People did not know how to label me. Was I Chinese? Was I American? Where exactly was my anchor to define where I was from? But even so, my family took many trips back to China, and we visited many Chinatowns in New York, Vancouver, and cities in between. This gave me an opportunity to learn more about my cultural background. It also helped me shape parts of my identity as Chinese. But I was also very lucky. I got double holidays. So for every New Year's Eve, I also got a Lunar New Year. And for every Halloween, I got an autumn moon festival. My family also joined a group called Families with Children from China. And through this experience, I was able to meet people and make friends who were just like me, where both the past and the future are mysteries. But in 2012, my life flipped completely upside down. We moved to China. Now in China, I look similar to almost all the people who were there. My racial identity was very similar. On one hand, it was incredibly comfortable being able to blend into the crowd. However, I knew that I did not really belong. In fact, I remember one time where I was at a restaurant with my parents, and I happily told them that they were the ones who looked different and it wasn't me. However, I still got the look. Eyes from my mom, to my dad, to me, to my mom, to my dad, to me. And then the question, are you their tour guide? Or are you their translator? And with the little Chinese I knew, I would have to tell them, no, I am their daughter and I don't know how to speak Chinese. This left them even more confused because, well, I looked Chinese, but I didn't speak Chinese. It was very strange. Two amazing events happened while I was living in China. First, I joined an organization called Love Without Boundaries, and their mission is to help impoverished and orphan children receive medical treatments. Every week, I would go to a children's hospital in Shanghai and take photographs and write updates about the children there. I hope that my words would be able to connect them to their sponsors so they would be able to find families. As most of these children were orphans, I had an instant connection to them. I had been there. I had been in an orphanage. Except for these children here have to go through surgery all by themselves, without a family member there to hold their hand and tell them that everything will be okay. I just hope that my words would help them find forever families like mine. And secondly, I also have an older sister who was adopted from China as well. But against all odds, she amazingly found her family. Mom, dad, sister, cousins, grandparents, and all these people who looked like her and shared her DNA. So in addition to my adoptive family, I also have my sister's biological family who defy all labels. Are they my half family? My step family? I don't know. But somehow we are now all family. So what exactly is family? Is it 2 parents, 2 kids, and a dog? Definitely not. What I have learned is that family is much more than a DNA connection. Family is built through love and not genetics. Family are the people who are there for you and you for them. And from this perspective, I believe that we need to redefine the definition of family and recognize that families come in all shapes and sizes just like people. And to this end, I still believe that every child needs and deserves a loving home. But now I'm here in Düsseldorf, which is yet another step in my journey. Except for here, I do not have the racial or the cultural similarities that I had while living in China and the US. It has given me a different perspective of who I am. But even so, I still get the question, do you want to find your biological parents? But the answer to that is, I don't know. Because I have hugged and cried with my sister as she went through joy from finding them to anger over how they could not keep her. On one hand, I would love to know if I look more like my biological father or my mother, but on the other hand, I know that the cultural differences and the language barrier are so great that we will never have a relationship like other biological families. In the end, I was found anonymously, and perhaps I will never know. But maybe one day, through a DNA database match, I will find an answer. But I'm not sure if I will ever be ready for that. enjoy my biology class here, where I'm able to learn about DNA and how it connects biological families. But I also enjoy my psychology class, where I can learn more about this connection and the emotional connection between families and the sense of belonging. I have had this unique experience of seeing myself in all these different countries. And what I have learned is that I will always be me. My definition of me will always be changing depending on where I am. Life gave me a different beginning, but I am shaping my own destiny. But in reality, I believe that everyone is just trying to find themselves. So who am I? I was born in China. I grew up in China, America, and Germany. I am on my journey. I am me. Thank you.